Welcome to Kaleidoscope S4IG. Let's talk. For those of you who joined us on Kaleidoscope last week, we chatted with one of the joint winners of the Gratiaen Prize 2023, Yudhanjaya Vijayaratna, whose manuscript The Wretched and the Damned added a new genre of speculative fiction into the Gratiaen genres. Today we have one-time nominee and joint winner of the Gratiaen Prize 2023, Chiranthi Rajapakse, whose publication Keeping Time and Other Stories got the nod from the panel of judges headed by Romesh Gunasekara. I went onto her blog and found that Chiranthi is quite a prolific writer. She's a lawyer, a researcher and a journalist as well as a project manager, and had her writings published in New Ceylon Writing, City and Fairlight Books. Names and Numbers was the book she was shortlisted for in 2017. We have her on the show on Let's Talk today. Congratulations, Chiranthi. Lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Now, a shortlist in 2017, a win in 2023, and that's truly a feat. So both your publications submitted to the Gratiaen were on a collection of short stories. What is it that resonates with you when it comes to writing short stories?
Maybe because my writing is quite concise, I think. Maybe I'm drawn to the form because of that. But I don't even know whether it was really a conscious decision to write short stories in both cases. I mean, usually my writing starts from some kind of incident or some kind of feeling, something I'm trying to describe. And in my case, these became short stories. So, and I've noticed that the stories have become longer as I've gone along. Because my first collection, the stories are very short, but these are actually longer.
So what is this manuscript, Keeping Time, all about?
If I had to describe it, I'd say it focuses on the lives of a group of different Sri Lankans, showing how they try to navigate their lives in a country that's, I think, in many ways always on the edge of some sort of crisis. And it deals with different situations. For example, one story is about a man who's preparing for a job interview the next day, and he can't sleep because there's a loudspeaker going on next door. And another one is about a woman who's going to get a dress sewn for her child, but there's a lot more at stake than just clothes. So I'd say they focus on everyday incidents.
So how did you actually collate the short stories? Do you work with a whole lot of storylines and then prune them? What is the process?
I'm usually in the process of writing something, stories or fiction or non-fiction or something. So my first collection, Names and Numbers, came out in 2017. And these are stories I've probably been working on since then. So like when I finish the draft of a story, I try to like put it away and then come back later and like look at it and try to read it as an outsider, which is a difficult thing to do. I wrote like quite a lot of stories, and then from those I tried to take the ones that seemed to me to work the best.
So you mentioned these are everyday stories. What are some of the revelations you came across while writing these stories?
For me, writing maybe is the way I try to explain things to myself. Or it may be something that I'm intrigued by, or maybe I'm curious about how somebody else lives. So I think, and also when I start a story, I don't usually know the whole thing. I have an idea of something, what I want to write about, but I figure out the story as I go on.
Would you ever want to put a novel together?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I mean, I have already written, I've been working on the draft of a novel, but I don't feel like it's complete yet. And I read both short stories and novels. I read a lot of novels.
You say you hate first drafts, but you enjoy rewriting. Now, that's a bit of an oxymoron when you think about it. When does your writing become a first draft, if at all?
I think what I meant by a first draft is the point where it actually seems like a story. Like, so the writing might start from, say, something I've seen, an incident or something like that. And as I keep writing until the story has sort of worked itself out. And then I think that's the point where it will be the first draft. And then, like I said, I try to put it away and come back to it later and like rewrite or edit. So that process I think is easier than the actual process of just trying to start writing something. Trying to start, I think, is really the hardest thing. At least for me, it's really hard.
So how has your experience as a lawyer, a researcher and a project manager helped you in your writing?
I think everything you experience kind of feeds into your writing. I mean, everything that you see, everything, people that you interact with, what kind of things you're exposed to. So I guess it's more than the actual job, maybe just the experiences that you undergo as a result of having to work or through your work.
Chiranthi, why do you write?
I write to make sense of the world, like to try to understand things which I don't understand, and also out of curiosity, trying to understand somebody else, what it would be like to live as somebody else. And yeah, and I think also writing is something you have to do alone, which is sometimes difficult. But maybe being a bit being introverted, that suits me as well. And maybe I'm lucky because there are not many things that you can do on your own.
So, any words of wisdom for aspiring writers?
Read a lot, write a lot, and I don't know, it's like everything you write a lot, and maybe some of it will work out, some of it won't. So it's also a matter of endurance. And it's good if you have people who will support you in that. And I've been lucky because my family is, they're not a family of writers, but they have been very supportive, especially my parents and my sister, of because a lot of the time writing is just ignoring other people and staring at a laptop. So that can be difficult to live with. But yes, so it's good to have support.
Kaleidoscope is on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Subscribe and follow if you like our show.